Good morning, everyone. My name is Paul Beal, and I am an artist and an educator. And this morning, I'm going to be talking about starting new projects. Okay? So, I have just finished a big painting, which you can see it up there. And I finally got that cleared out of my way because sometimes when you start a new project, first you have to clear out some of those old projects. And what I'm left with right now is an empty easel. Now, if you read some books about creativity and getting your creativity flowing, I believe Rollo May in his book, The Courage to Create, he talks about that experience that a lot of artists have with that sort of fear of the blank canvas and this big white canvas, and you suddenly have to do something on it, and oftentimes your mind goes blank. And I think that's really good, but one thing that I'm going to say is I think that's maybe even trying to start one step ahead. So what do I mean by that? Well, before you start that project, a lot of times you have to just make that sort of basic commitment. And in this case right now, it's like, I don't have anything on my easel. I need that blank canvas first. So in order to start this project, I have to make that first step. And a lot of people oftentimes will say to me, oh, I'd love to learn to draw and paint and everything else. And, the first thing is, okay, well, you got to make that first step. You've got to go out to the art store and buy yourself a sketchbook and maybe a couple pencils. And after that, well, what do you draw? Well, you draw everything. You draw things that you see, you draw things out of your head, and especially at first, you don't need to edit and look and say, oh, this is terrible, this isn't any good. Just about every project sort of starts out in an amorphous way, and a lot of times, if you could just take that first step, sometimes just simply something, a lot of people get themselves down in a funk and aren't sure where to go. And sometimes it's just, okay, first take that first step, and then we'll look at the steps that you can take next. So for me, of course, this first step is physically preparing myself. I need to get the materials that I need. But I also need to mentally prepare myself, which means, one, I say, okay, I am going to take this amount of time today and I am going to put it towards taking the steps that I need to take in order to get where I want this project to eventually go. And in line with that, another project that I'm starting with is I have dedicated myself to making at least 2 videos every week where I am sharing a lot of my experiences about being an artist and dealing with some of those many things that come up. So that's another thing that I have to prepare myself to. Right now, I've got my camera just sort of propped up against my laptop here, and I've realized, it's like I really need to get myself a tripod mount that I can stick my phone onto, so that later on, I don't just want to be sitting here talking with you. Sometimes I want to be actually painting and doing other things. So I need to have a flexibility that tripod's going to give me. So I am not going to talk too much longer today. It's just a little chat, and also for me, this is you're seeing me right now taking my first step. So if there's some sort of project that you've had on your mind for a while, today I'd like to challenge you as well. It's like, okay, take that first step. Maybe if it's not today, look ahead at your schedule and say, okay, on this day, this is the day when I'm going to take that first step towards doing this thing that I think I really want to do, and then hold yourself to it. And I'm going to hold myself to that as well. So thank you very much for listening. Before I sign out, I'll just give you a few of my contacts. So in case you're interested in finding more about me or my work, these are some places that you can do that. So you can see there is my website, which is www.paulbeal.com. There's a gallery section, so you can scroll through all my work. And if you go to the end of the gallery section, you will be able to find a place which is some videos that I did. Now, these videos I did quite a few years ago, and they are done with the idea that these videos aren't educational videos, but they're made with the idea that these are sort of art pieces in and of themselves, which do follow the creation of artworks. So it's taking a painting, and I'm doing this very elaborate time-lapse sort of method of working on my paintings. And a lot of people have asked me in the past, like, could you do a voiceover where you're sort of explaining what you're doing? And I might do that. I'm becoming a little bit more curious about that. But one thing, before I actually do that, if you're really interested in learning some things about how I'm creating these paintings, if you just take those videos and just using your pause button, freeze frame it, every couple of seconds, because they do whip by very fast, the actual painting process. But you can see how I typically start my painting. Like on most of those videos, you'll see when I'm painting a person, or oftentimes even the entire figure, I don't use that sort of very classical way of drawing where I draw out, say, a gesture or those sort of balloon kind of sketchings to rough out the figure. Most of the time I'm starting with like one singular eye and then building things out of it. And that method has some benefits and some drawbacks to it. But that's one thing that you can see right up. It's like, that's what I do. And if you just sort of go frame by frame, you can see a lot of ways that I'm deciding to put colors down, and I think that could be really useful for a lot of people. And maybe I will do the voiceover as well when I have the moment and the software. I think that I need to put it together well. So please check me out. It's been really great talking with you, and I hope that we'll catch each other again online in the future. Thanks a lot. Bye.